Here we are finally in our 50s and we've discovered the proper human diet. And I'm going, oh my gosh, if only I'd known when I was younger. My youth was wasted on pasta and rice.
The first time I met JJ, I didn't like her at all.
This is true. I felt the same about you.
It was my hair. I had really long hair.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of an anomaly because you had the hair and the glasses, but you didn't dress in just strictly concert t-shirts and jeans.
No, I did have many.
Yes.
But I dressed kind of nice.
Yeah.
Thanks to my mom buying me clothes for Christmas. Half of which got returned because she liked bright colors and I didn't.
No.
But, and then so I knew you from the time you were 15.
Yes, I was about 15 and a half.
And then we started dating when you were how old?
23.
So that was a long time to know somebody and not date them. But to be honest, I didn't want to date you right up until about, 6 months until we started. I don't remember the history that well.
No, it wasn't that. It was not, dating was not in the cards at first for a long, long time.
No. There was just too many obstacles.
Well, and you used to just be mean to me, like, just call me Jennifer.
That's your name. I would also call you Jenny.
Yes, exactly.
Which you really hated.
See? You antagonized me.
She loved the monkeys, which is disqualifying right off the bat. So I would sing that. Was that a Peter Gabriel song, Shock the Monkey?
Yes.
I would just randomly sing that because we were in the same social group.
Yes, we were.
Although we weren't really friends.
No, and we didn't go to high school together.
No.
We knew each other in high school, but we did not go to high school together, which was probably good.
Had anybody predicted back then when we were 15, 16 that we would end up married for 25 plus years?
No.
I would have said that's crazy.
It would be unimaginable.
But then, one day, I got a haircut.
Well, that helped, but we were hanging out. I'm not gonna lie.
It wasn't this haircut.
No, but we were hanging out at that point too, because we were still in the same social group, but a lot of those people were in college and stuff, and so this little tiny social group, we were just hanging out together.
And it turned out we had some things in common. One of the things was reading.
The first book you gave me was complete works of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I did give you that.
And I was like, thanks. Like,
that was for a holiday, though, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It was like, you get me. Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And then, yes, you did give me Mists of Avalon, which is a version of the King Arthur tale. And isn't there a bit of a love interest in there?
Yeah, obviously there's Guinevere and Lancelot.
Yeah.
And it's also told from the female point of view. So, which was kind of an interesting take.
Yeah. I loved that book. I've read it many, many times throughout the years. I have it on Kindle now too.
But something happened after she went away to college. Her personality changed dramatically to one that was, instead of kind of snotty and stuck up, to one that was fun and had a sense of humor.
That's what happened.
And got me.
Yes, and you stopped antagonizing me. So that was always good.
Yeah, I guess we both grew up.
Yes.
But you went to school for communications?
Yes, broadcast and electronic communications with an English writing minor.
So you were meant to do this?
Sort of. Very strange because this was pre-internet, pre-YouTube, way pre. And I really kind of wanted to act.
Yeah.
But was highly discouraged to do that from my family. And so this seemed like a safe route, but I'd still be able to have some fun. And college was a lot of fun. We did a lot of fun projects in school. But who knew that it would eventually benefit me in this way? But I have had certain News jobs, I was a newspaper reporter. I was a very, very small town local TV, cable TV reporter. And I was also a life coaching expert on the major market station.
We use that term about, a lot of moms say, oh, I need to find more balance. I need to get more balance when they start feeling overwhelmed and hectic. And it's become sort of a blanket word. It's a very general.
I may have shared that my 30s were messy. I had so many health issues that were undiagnosed, I didn't really know about, but it ended up in very low mood, very low energy, just feeling like crud all the time. And I was on maternity leave and happened to be watching TV, and there was this daytime reality show called Starting Over. It was one of the first ones, just like right after Survivor. And it was about a couple of life coaches and a psychiatrist who coached women who lived in a house for about 3 to 4 months. And I got kind of hooked on it during maternity leave. But at some point, I kind of realized that I was angry and that I had feelings that I'd never addressed.
No.
Yeah, I know it's shocking to you. But I realized there might be a way out. So I took a life coaching workshop. You came with me to make sure it wasn't some weird cult.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
And then I took some more. And then I took all the prerequisites for the program because it was about all told, it was about a 2-year program. And yeah, my life changed dramatically learning how to really work with mindset.
So what do you say to people who hear life coach and kind of roll their eyes and go, that's not a real thing? Just anybody can say they're a life coach.
Well, there are a couple different factors there, but anyone can be a life coach. I know that I was trained highly to be a life coach, and by one of the pioneering life coaches in the country. It was one of the women who was on that TV show. And so I had extensive training and still continue my education with it. So it can be a legit field, and I do get that some people just hang a shingle out and call themselves a life coach. And some people probably have an aptitude for it, but I went through a lot of training.
What distinguishes a life coach from a therapist or a psychologist?
We don't deal with diagnoses. So that's the biggest thing, is that we do not have that, deal with mental health issues like that.
So if someone came to you and they're like, I've got terrible anxiety and depression, that's not your client?
That is not my client. It is possible, however, to work in conjunction with a therapist. So that person who is anxious and depressed, I would have to talk to them to see if they are in a space where they could be coached at that point, because they might not be coachable at that moment. But once they were, we could work in tandem.
So how much of it is accountability versus teaching them tools on how to achieve what they're trying to achieve?
I would say actually probably for me 75% is tools.
Okay.
And only 25% accountability.
That's interesting, because I think most people would think it's the other way around.
Yeah, this is the tools we have to work with mindset, inspiration, motivation, overcoming fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection. We have an extensive toolkit, and it's just, I have so many things I can work with a person on.
But you haven't been taking clients for a long time.
It's been a couple of years. I discovered that I really like teaching more, so I've been doing more group work and teaching and less private clients. I like collaborating. And I kind of realized that, as 2020, 21 rolled around, I actually had a boom in my business, and I started to evaluate what I was doing based on satisfaction. And I found that working with groups, teaching, and collaborating was most satisfactory to me, other than private clients. Now, that said, I still work with occasional private clients, usually ones who I've already worked with before.
So I met one of your clients.
Yeah? Who was that? Tom.
We can't, his name was Tom.
Oh, sorry.
And it was at I think it was a wedding.
Yes.
It was his wedding.
Yeah.
He came up to me and told me that she had saved his life. And then his mother came up to me and said the same thing.
His
And
90-some-year-old
yeah,
mother.
she could not stop raving about what JJ had done.
Yeah, it can be very rewarding, but I think I've talked about this. I'm also having a little bit of a crisis is a strong word, but I'll use it. Because I have worked with people on mindset and found that that's very powerful, yet I feel like diet might be the foundation.
It seems like it should be. Yeah.
And so when I'm teaching these groups and I'm seeing people come in month after month with some of the same issues, and they are making progress. I want to say that. They are making progress. Yet I'm like, oh my gosh, how much more progress could they make if they were coming from a baseline of a proper human diet?
Getting that metabolism under control.
Oh my gosh.
We've seen so many stories of people whose mental health has been drastically improved. Anxiety, depression, OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia with ketosis has been very beneficial for some. So for my part, if I had a friend who had anxiety or depression, I would be like, yeah, therapy is important and you need to be under that care, but diet is going to be the biggest leverage you've got.
And for me, I just remember those days where I was just drained. Yeah, it's really hard to have any motivation to do anything beyond the day-to-day grind when you're that depleted and drained. And so, yeah, life coaching, mindset work can be great. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of again, some cognitive dissonance around my entire career. And yet I'm still teaching the mindset stuff. I do it for an organization that they're not looking for me to talk about diet.
Yeah, right, yeah. It kind of reminds me of Dr. Baker. He was trying to teach nutrition because it was keeping people off the operating table, and his hospital was like, we want more people on the operating table, you dum-dum. That brings us to now. Are you ready to announce a whole suite of products and services to people who are following the carnivore diet?
I am not ready to do that. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm working on a certification so that I am able to teach keto, carnivore, and coach it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I know we also are moving into a space where there's some room for meetings and maybe meetups. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm waiting to see what unfolds, basically. Yeah, and in the meantime, doing the things that I still do like to do with this other organization. You are a novelist. You're a writer.
Yeah, that's not where I would start the story. As a novelist. That's like,
I am not a
That's
novelist.
not even in medias res. That's like at the end.
No, but we came together. One of the things we had in common was reading.
Yes.
And when we started hanging out together in a friendly, non-antagonistic manner, you just graduated from college with a degree.
Yeah, I had an English degree with an emphasis in writing, although there wasn't much coursework for that emphasis. But I had, during the fiction unit, my teacher would meet individually and discuss our stories. And he said to me, you really have some skill. You need to go to writers' conferences and get into the community and keep following this.
And did you keep following that?
No, I went to work for my dad because I wanted a paycheck and I wanted to buy a car.
And I don't think, it didn't help that we were starting dating pretty soon after that too.
Yeah.
Not right away, but that throws a little wrench into things.
Yeah, because when we started dating, it was instantly very serious. It was like, this is the end of relationships.
Yeah, I'm glad you kept going. This is the end.
And so there was no way I was going to quit that steady job with a decent paycheck, plus having my car payment, and try to do some Plan B high wire act of starving while I was trying to sell stories. So I did do some writing, and but it just, I was very raw and had sort of very little refinement to my knowledge of the craft. So, and it's a type of thing that, there's a handful of naturals who just kind of have early success, but most people have to just do a lot of it and find their voice and kind of find their genre. And so I didn't go that route. I was also very much into music.
Yes.
And I had just given up on my plan to be a rock star. Although I had not taken a single step toward that plan in my entire life. So
You played a lot of guitar.
I played a lot, and I wrote a lot of songs, recorded a lot of demos, but it was all, I lived in a rock and roll fantasy, as the Bad Company song goes. So, I ended up in a corporate role, running a marketing organization. I wasn't particularly cut out for that, but it was stable. And then we got married, and so there was no going back on that. But then I eventually, because of the music, I did that Nashville thing for a while. I was very much into rock and metal, but the only place you could really sell songs was to Nashville's country artists. So I switched my genre, and I was traveling to Nashville almost every month to do workshops or occasional co-writing, and that was really fun. And I quit right on the threshold of some success.
I like to remind you, though, that there was you lived in Wisconsin
Yeah,
at
that
that
was
point.
a big problem.
And, I mean, we could have relocated. It was possible.
Yeah.
Yet, you have said you're an introvert on videos. And that would have required you to do a lot of playing out and a lot of co-writing.
Yeah, the co-writing was the big obstacle. I did it, and those songs were fine, but I hated it. I don't want to collaborate on a creative thing like a song or a book or a story. I want to follow my own vision. And it was even to the point where in Nashville, there's I don't know, dozens, maybe 100 demo studios. You can go in, you can get the top session players will play on your demo. You can get great singers, and within an hour, you will have something that could be played on the radio. It's that good. And taking a song you wrote, a little demo of acoustic guitar and voice, and they listen to it and they start writing down the chord chart by ear, and then they do bam, and then they go. And have that magical moment of turning that idea into a full-fledged song there is almost nothing more fun in life than that. But it's not free. And you really do need to be in the community. And my skill, it developed year to year. And I was getting to where I was starting to understand it, and I feel like if I'd given it another 3 more years, I probably would have had some breakthrough and had some cuts on some country albums.
Because some of your peers
Yeah, they started having some success.
did, so yeah.
But what happened was my nephew challenged me to NaNoWriMo. If you haven't heard of that, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month.
And he was like a teenager at that time.
And the thing with NaNoWriMo is you're going to write a 50,000 word novel in the month of November. He said, I'm doing it. Are you going to do it? And I'm like, yeah. And so I wrote 50,000 words in that November. I didn't finish the novel because It ended up being like 110,000 words, but it got me to a point where I had to make a decision about music or writing. And by that time, I had left my corporate life. It was rock star and novelist was the things that the 14-year-old me wanted. And I didn't want rock star anymore, but I still wanted novel writing. And so I just committed to it, and I wrote.
How many words would you say you've written?
I don't know, but I've published about 1 million.
Okay, published.
Yeah.
Got it.
And it's been across young adult science fiction. I did a young adult dystopian, because at the time, Hunger Games and Divergent were big selling properties. And I wasn't willing to go into the more vampire romance genre, because it didn't resonate with me. And I had grown up reading fantasy and science fiction almost exclusively, so it felt more at home. But then when I kind of finished up that young adult phase, I wanted to go back to writing just pure fantasy stuff inspired by Tolkien, really inspired by a writer called Robert Jordan, who wrote a Wheel of Time series. He died before it was done, and then Brandon Sanderson came in and finished it, and he's a publishing sensation in his own right now. He just did a Kickstarter a couple years ago that raised $40 million. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad for writing fantasy novels. So yeah, and so I started that, and I planned that to be a 10-book series, and it looks like that's going to be about what it's going to be.
And what book are you on?
9!
Whew.
It was supposed to be the last one. I really thought it was going to be the last one, but then in the writing of it, I realized that I can't do it justice.
The larger the series gets, the more challenging it seems, because there are all these different, there are multiple characters, more characters as you go on.
Yeah, right.
And more little plot points that you kind of need to keep track of and bring to some sort of a conclusion.
Yep.
And so it's deep in the weeds for you.
This is why George R.R. Martin will never finish his series. And we saw the Game of Thrones TV show. You didn't read the books. There were so many things that they introduced into the show that seemed really important, and then they just forgot about it. And to the extent I can, one person working on it, I'm trying to make sure I don't lose any of the threads.
Yeah.
So it's fun though.
It is.
But I've been on quite a hiatus on writing because of the property, the remodel, and starting a YouTube channel.
And yeah, that did take you away from
And
it.
I'm really itching to get back to it, but I've got some sort of overuse injury on my hand from playing a video game. So
There's some time for that.
I've got to, well, that's my wind down.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
that's good. You work hard on the property.
But writing is something that I feel like I'm good at. I don't feel like I'm Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it only for my own entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They are for sale. I like it when people buy them. I love it when they love them. But I could not care less if someone likes it, because these characters are my friends, they're my enemies, and I just sit down and write to discover what the story is, just like I did when I sat down with iced tea and a cat on my lap when I was 13 and read fantasy novels just to find out what happens.
Yeah.
And I recommend it. It's an incredible way to uncover all kinds of shadows in your own psyche.
Well, and I want to go to that for a moment, because we've both had varying health issues
Yeah.
and mental health issues that have taken us away from our work.
Yeah, for long stretches.
And so that was a situation for you in the writing of these books as well, where you were not able to write consistently.
Oh, yeah. There's numbers of times where life throws things at you and the creative work gets stymied.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's because you just are sapped of energy, and the creative act is quite energetic, even though you're sitting still. After, we were in California early this year, I was writing 10,000 words a day
Yes.
for a week because I was trying to just power through some sticking points. And I thought, well, if I just have to write, I will write right past it. And it worked. But at the end of the day, my brain was absolutely as if I had run a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to go get McDonald's.
That was not your greatest carnivore
No,
week.
that was a non-carnivore week. That was a sad diet week.
But you got a lot accomplished.
I did.
Yeah,
I
it was
did.
incredible.
I'm looking forward to getting back into it and remembering what I wrote. Because it goes by so fast when you write so much so quick.
We kind of are seeing that there's a season for your writing.
Yeah.
And summer is spring and summer is not it.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get all in the new house.
Yep, and then I can settle down.
You're carnivore. You'll
Yep.
be clear-headed, good energy.
Yep.
You'll be able to sit down and finish book 9.
Absolutely. I'm counting on my cleaned up carnivore to heal my arm hand injury with all of the healthy proteins and fats and low inflammatory foods. So we shall see, but it won't do it if I don't stop. And one of the problems is I edit these videos on a trackpad computer and I have to do lots of track padding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So we may put this one up pretty raw. I've got to edit out a couple of things I know already, but a lot of it's just going to go up as is.
Yeah.
This one's not going to do well on the search terms.
No.
Don't think anybody's going to search for who are Eric and JJ. This one's for our subscribers.
Yeah, a little bit of background. Oh, since this is a carnivore channel, though,
Yeah.
we've talked about our diet before, but let's go through the history of your diet and my diet.
Okay.
So, back when you were a wee little bab.
When I was a baby, I only ate sugar in the form of Pop-Tarts and high C juice. Well, not an infant, but once I was weaned, I pretty much only wanted carbs in the form of sugar. And I was indulged in that pretty much.
Yeah, I would say. I would say.
Yeah. But I had a very constrained palate. Everything that wasn't things I liked made me want to puke. Extraordinarily sensitive to bitter and texture. So meat, like a steak, was a no-go. Absolutely could not touch my tongue without me going, "Bleh."
Your dad would say how you'd use you'd have more ketchup than French fry, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Because the ketchup was sweet.
Yeah.
And had umami in it, so yeah. But if I was in a context where I had to eat just meat, like meatloaf or some sort of
Ooh, a
steaky
friend's
thing,
house.
yeah, I relied on the ketchup to get it down because I could not take it. And forget vegetables. That was just there was nothing they could do. They could make me sit at the table. I would sit at the table until dawn, from dinner to
Yeah.
dawn. They knew they couldn't win that battle of the wills. I was the most stubborn, unmotivatable eater who ever lived.
And we knew we couldn't with our daughter either.
Yeah,
People would say, she'll get hungry. And we're like, no,
No, she just on principle.
she will not break down and eat. No.
So yeah, it was pretty tough. But as I got older, I ventured into things like pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Yep, which I learned to like when I was in high school. Sushi, eventually.
Yeah. When we started dating, there was a lot of Chi-Chi's.
Yep.
Chi-Chi's Mexican chain restaurant.
I thought I was eating like an adult when I was going to Chi-Chi's.
Yeah, yeah. And there was pizza, and there was an Italian joint in
Oh, yeah.
town.
Very good.
We would eat a lot there. And remember the Chinese buffet?
Oh yeah, the Chinese buffet.
Yes, we'd have some Chinese buffet.
The General Tso's, and they had those sugary bun things.
Yeah,
I'd eat those by the half dozen.
yeah. So that, and then I would cook as well. We went out to eat a lot. And I would cook things like spaghetti,
Yeah.
tuna noodle casserole.
Yep, that was good.
It had rice or noodles. Almost.
You used cream of
Always.
celery.
Yes.
I grew up with a cream of mushroom. So, but I learned to like your cream of celery tuna casserole.
Yeah, I had a good gluten-free dupe
Yeah.
too. I learned how to make the cream of celery from scratch.
I
Yeah.
ate boxcars full of Kraft mac and cheese.
That's when you would cook.
Yeah.
He would, because he had his own way of doing the ratios, so it was kind of gloppy, but in a good way.
I didn't like
for
it
that.
watery. I liked it gloopy.
Yeah.
But I would make 2 boxes at a time minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would eat it until I just could not get any more down.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you started eating sushi.
Yeah.
That was,
I
I
was
tried
very
and
grown up.
I tried and tried and tried and tried, but I do not eat fish.
So getting into my 30s, starting to have a suite of health and mental health issues. Eventually I was aware of Atkins. My parents had done it. I knew people at work who had done it. I thought they were insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, just through the internet popularizing it, and people I actually respected, adopting it and being serious about it, I was like, I'm gonna try it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had great success losing weight on it. I had no other particular non-scale benefits from keto, the way I was doing it.
No. And as we've mentioned, we've tried the gamut too. We did Weight Watchers once.
Yep.
That was after I was pregnant, and
I lost a lot of muscle mass,
yeah.
got really cold, slowed my metabolism way down.
Well, we had to really save those points for those Weight Watchers
Yep.
cakes
Yeah.
and green smoothies and green juices
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and also whey shakes and all sorts of things. Yeah.
And it wasn't until our 50s that we found carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a little more of a palate than you did.
Yeah.
But I know I've said I started my days with toast, which eventually turned to healthy whole wheat toast when I was maybe in middle school, and chocolate quick, because I didn't like white milk. And I think I outgrew it pretty quickly, the white milk, and so we switched to chocolate milk because I still needed to get my calcium, right? And my lunch was traditionally a sandwich, an apple, and a chocolate-covered granola bar. So again, pretty healthy there. Oh, and a Coke. And a Coke when I was a teenager. I would have 1 Coke a day. And my mom's cooking varied. She went to chef school for a while, and she got really good at baking breads and doing some really great dishes. And then other times it was the macaroni and cheese casserole with cream of mushroom soup and ground beef. So my diet varied a little bit more than yours, but we were very focused. My mom, I had a young mother. She was very focused on overall low fat, low salt, the things we traditionally learned. And then when I got out of school, I continued that way. I ate a lot of pasta and rice, as I said, things with pasta and rice, and very, very little meat all the way through until I had to give up gluten, really.
Yeah.
When I had to give up gluten is when meat started entering the picture. That was when I was 40, and I'd had a whole range of health issues in my 30s. And then eventually you've already heard our journey to carnivore, which I'm not going to repeat. And so, yeah, here we are finally in our 50s, and we've discovered the proper human diet. And I'm going, oh my gosh, if only I'd known when I was younger. My youth was wasted on pasta and rice.
And it was so good, but it never made me feel good. I was only felt good while I was eating it. And then I would have problems because I ate it.
Yeah.
You didn't have those problems. as
I did
much.
not. I did not. And I didn't realize that a lot of my energy and mood issues were due to the gluten. I mean, once I got off gluten, I experienced a great improvement. But as I've mentioned, I was still sort of propping myself up. It was teetering until I found carnivore. And so here we are. We're both 53. And we're feeling great, more energy, better health, better moods, empty nest,
Yeah.
pretty close. We've got this new property, and it feels like we're just starting a whole new chapter in our life together.
Who would have predicted we would have a YouTube channel about carnivore?
Can you imagine telling our 15-year-old selves that?
They'd be like, what's YouTube? First of all.
Young Eric, you're going to marry that girl who's snotty,
Yeah.
and you're going to carry a computer around in your pocket with TV on it that you're going to watch.
And there's gonna be an app on it that you load just to make yourself mad.